Good evening, I'm David Brown, and this is the Northern Sun Experience. Well, the most surprising football teams in the NSIC so far have very similar parallels to the Minnesota Twins. The last time Southwest Minnesota State was 3-0, 1991, when the Twins last won the World Series. And the last time MSU Moorhead was 3-0, 1987, when the Twins won their first World Series. And since baseball and football are both considered in the cliche world to be games of inches, some of those inches could make the difference as the two undefeated squared off in Marshall. Dragons get on the board first. Zane Medhog takes the option pitch and finds the right corner. 5-yard score makes it 6-0 MSUM. But SMSU would be in complete control after that. Watch this. Blake Gimbel gets it back and fires a 44-yard touchdown to Nate Hewitt on a reverse flea flicker. Check it out in slow motion. Fair assumption you're probably going to see this in top plays later. Just perfect execution by the Mustangs, and Gimbel finds Hewitt wide open for the score. SMSU takes a 7-6 lead, and that would be their smallest. Second quarter now, Devontae Stevens follows his blockers inside and turns on the Jets. 38-yard touchdown, the longest run of SMSU's season. They're up 14-6. Now up 28-9 in the third and continuing to pour it on. Gimbel finds Vernell Wingate, nice spin-off tacklers to get into the end zone. 23-yard touchdown makes it 35-9. And the air assault would continue. Gimbel rolls out to his right, throws back across his body to Tommy Steidler, and he gets a 23-yard touchdown of his own, the first of his career. 41-9 at that point. Blake Gimbel with a career-high 299 yards and a career-high 5 touchdowns as the Mustangs kick the game of inches cliche to the curb. 48-9 is your final over MSU Moorhead. Let's check in on the other undefeated teams in the conference. 3-0 Sioux Falls at 0-3 Northern State. Homecoming in Aberdeen with Gypsy Days, but the Cougars would steal the show. Down 3-zip in the first, Max Mickey takes the option pitch and goes 21 yards to the end zone. USF takes its first lead at 7-3. Later in the first, Papillion going through the air this time finds a wide open Garrett Shutt. Pretty clear open and shut case. 44-yard pitch and catch makes it 14-3 after one. Second quarter now, Shutt would shine again, surrounded by more Wolf defenders this time, but it doesn't really matter. 15-yard strike from Papillion, 21-3 at the half. Fourth quarter now, USF shows off more of its diverse offense. Josh Angulo takes the jet sweep and goes around the right side for the score. 28-3 at that point, and the Cougs stay undefeated with a 28-10 road victory over Northern State. The other 3-0 team, Minnesota State, traveled north to Minnesota Crookston. Connor Thomas plunging in from 1 yard out to give the visiting Mavs an early lead. Move to the third now, MSU's defense coming through. Tyler Henderson picks off the slant, goes 33 yards the other way. Mavericks in complete control, and they'd keep things going on the ground. Virgil Hammond busting through the initial stop and muscling his way to the end zone, one of his 4 touchdowns on the afternoon. Minnesota State moves to 4-0 with a 63-3 win over Minnesota Crookston. When we come back, more football highlights, including Augustana hoping to bounce back from a last-minute loss to MSU Moorhead as they took on Minot State at home.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. Augustana received a lot of preseason hype as a team on the rise, and through the first 2 weeks, the Vikings looked the part. But last Saturday, Augie, quite frankly, looked ugly, giving up more than 520 yards of offense in a 1-point loss at MSU Moorhead. Vikings hoping to rebound from that loss at home against Minot State. First quarter, all kinds of time for Trey Hyde. He'll hit C.J. Ham, who makes the moves toward the end zone. 16-yard score, and it's 7-zip Augie. Later in the first, Hyde steps up in the pocket and finds a wide-open Matt Heller. 22-yard touchdown doubles the lead to 14-0. It's 28-7 now in the third, but Minot's not going away. Off the play action, Lucas Romanski to Porter Sturm, and he breaks away. 86 yards on the touchdown, longest play for Minot State this season, and it's just a 14-point game. But the Vikings come right back down. Justin Greenway with the first of his 2 touchdown runs. Augie finishes the north part of its schedule with a 41-17 win over Minot State. Let's head to North Dakota. University of Mary hosting Wayne State. First quarter, Wildcats' Alex Klein finds a huge running lane and blasts right through. 17 yards to the house, 7-0 Wayne State. 7-3 now in the second. Lane Yates dives in from 1 yard out to increase the lead to 14-3 by halftime. Second half, Wildcats work it through the air this time. Taylor Reed to Keaton Slaughter, 13-yard strike, 21-3 at that point. Wayne State tops UMary 24-10. St. Cloud State and Winona State met for the homecoming game in southern Minnesota. First play from scrimmage, Jack Nelson sets up the screen to Paul Preston, and he's got some blockers. No need for jukes when you've got a clear path to the end zone. 75 yards later, and it's 7-0 right out of the chute. The Huskies march right back down the field, however. Jaden Huff bounces it out to the right for the 6-yard touchdown, and we're tied at 7. Later in the first, Nelson airs it out, this time to Allen May. Check out the dive from the end zone cam. 42 yards makes it 14-7 Warriors. 17-10 at halftime, but the Huskies tie it up again. Nate Meyer fools the entire Winona defense on the QB keeper to nod things at 17 apiece. It'd stay that way until the fourth when Meyer rumbles 55 yards on another QB keeper. It would set up another Husky touchdown, and St. Cloud State pulls away in the fourth, 31-20. Let's make our way up I-35, Bemidji State at Concordia St. Paul. The Beavers' Jordan Hine fools everyone on this read option. 19 yards to Pater, 7-0 Bemidji State. 13-0 in the second, Hine goes up and Vince Dinkle comes on down. 9-yard score, and it's 20-0. And Dinkle would get another score late in the third to make it 44-0 at that point. Bemidji State all over Concordia St. Paul, 47-7. Finally, Minnesota Duluth looking to bounce back from a tough loss to USF last week facing Upper Iowa. Drew Bauer to Dominic Bonner, nice moves in the heavy fog, gets down to the 2-yard line and sets up a field goal to make it 21-10. Back come the Peacocks, Derek Portis, the freshman, bouncing outside, taking it to the house. 45 yards cuts the lead to 21-16. Next Upper Iowa possession, it's Portis again, this time to the left. 33 yards, and the Peacocks take a 24-21 lead. But the Bulldogs mount a game-winning drive. Bauer to Bo Bofferding, 51 yards down inside the 5, and then Ben McDonald finishes it off with a 1-yard score. Minnesota Duluth tops Upper Iowa 28-24. Now that win evened UMD's record at 2-2, and they're still getting some love in the national polls. Once again, Minnesota State is number 1 in both the D2Football.com and AFCA coaches rankings. Sioux Falls, thanks to their win over Northern State, moved up to number 4 in the D2Football.com poll, while staying at number 7 in the coaches poll. Meanwhile, the Bulldogs, as I mentioned, still sticking around both polls, recognizing their 2 tough losses. UMD moves up 1 spot to 15th in the D2Football.com poll, while sticking right on the edge at number 25 in the coaches poll. Looking ahead to this upcoming Saturday in the NSIC, it's the start of division play, and we begin at noon with a couple of Minnesota teams looking to bounce back as 2-2 Winona State travels north to 1-3 Concordia St. Paul. Starting at 1, we get 4-0 Southwest Minnesota State and at 3-1 Augustana. Remember, the Vikings' only loss this season was to MSU Moorhead, who just lost by 39 to SMSU. Very interesting game to see if the Mustangs can maintain their momentum. Also at 1, another 4-0 team in Sioux Falls is at 3-1 Wayne State, while Minnesota Crookston visits St. Cloud State. At 2, Minnesota Duluth visits MSU Moorhead, and UMary is at Bemidji State. Our nightcaps are at 6 o'clock, with one team getting their first victory of the season between Northern State and Minot State. And finally, it's Minnesota State visiting Upper Iowa. When we come back, highlights from a jam-packed weekend of NSIC volleyball, including an up-and-down week for the number 1 team in the nation.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back. Ever since the Minnesota Duluth volleyball team knocked off defending national champion Tampa earlier this month, the Bulldogs have maintained a grasp on the number 1 national ranking. But with 6 other NSIC teams also in the top 25 poll, UMD knows it faces significant challenges every single week. One of their biggest tests came Friday at Northern State. First set, the Wolves' Drew Smith sets up Kelly Schmidt for the throwdown, and NSU takes set 1 25-10. Second set, it's Smith with a setup again. This time the Kelsey Chambers kill is blocked out of bounds by the Bulldogs, and the Wolves go up 2-0. and they would finish off UMD in 3. Mandy Karofsky and Schmidt block it at the net, and that would wrap it. Northern State sweeps Minnesota Duluth. It's the first time UMD's been swept in 3 years. Afterwards, we heard from AVCA National Player of the Week, Kelsey Chambers.
It's a surreal feeling. You don't, like, right now I don't even think it's hit me completely yet, and our team really, but it's a big deal to beat the #1 team in the nation, and I believe we all knew that we could do it, but yeah, it's still a great feeling.
And congrats to Northern. UMD hoping to bounce back the next day at MSU Moorhead, and they would channel all their frustrations on the Dragons. Sydney Mott going up high and coming down hard. She had 7 kills in the match. Later on, check out the net cam as Sarah Kelly goes up for the cross-court kill. Great angle for the highlight, great angle on the smackdown. And finally, it's Mariah Scharf with a game-high 16 kills, including one right here. Minnesota Duluth goes back to its winning ways quickly, topping MSU Moorhead 3-0. Concordia St. Paul hosted Minnesota State last Tuesday. Ellie Vandesteeg sets up Vicolia Mead for the Maverick kill early on. But back come the Golden Bears. Beautiful setup for Emma Lang for the cross-court kill off the right side. And later in the match, another nice setup for Lang on the right side as Concordia tops Minnesota State 3-0. The team that upset Concordia last weekend, Winona State, traveled to Sioux Falls to take on Augustana. Both teams showing power. Maria Rage, Soensham Rage for the Warriors, but Augie's spikes were on point as well. Danny Magzis with a left-handed throwdown. And then check this out from Ashley Wilson, just a full-on smackdown as Augie wins the battle of the power players 3-0. Taking a look at the National Volleyball poll, and despite an uneven week, Minnesota Duluth still remains #1. Concordia St. Paul jumps 5 spots, however, from 8th all the way to 3rd. Southwest Minnesota State is 5th, and Northern State jumps the highest, going up 10 spots from 19th to 9th on the heels of their big win over UMD. Wayne State is 11th, Augustana moves up to 19th, while Winona State rounds out the top 25. Well, one of the biggest cross-country showcases in the nation celebrated its 30th anniversary this past weekend. The Roy Griak Invitational, held near the University of Minnesota, hosts hundreds of high school and college athletes every year in a competition featuring the best of the best. And it was no different this weekend as several NSIC runners competed on a beautiful Saturday in Minneapolis. And in the Women's Division II contest, an NSICer would set the pace. The University of Mary's Alexis Zeis, just a sophomore, comes in with a time of 22:13.6, nearly 13 seconds ahead of second place. If you include Zeis, the NSIC had 5 of the top 8 finishers, and after the race, Zeis said she's been focused on this competition for years.
I've been running here for 5 years, ever since I was in high school, and I've always pictured of winning this meet, and today I knew, I was like, I gotta do it today. It's perfect weather, not too hot, not too cold. Our team was pumped up before this meet, which is very nice. Our team did very good too. And I just knew that all these hills that we've been working out on, I had to put it to use now. So that's basically what it was.
Meanwhile, as far as the team competition is concerned, the University of Minnesota Duluth won its 2nd straight overall title and 4th in the last 7 years. Head coach Joanna Warmington says it's a testament to all the preparation the Bulldogs put in.
It was exciting. I knew that coming into this meet it was going to be tough against Augustana, Northern Michigan. It's always a big event happening, and it's kind of who shows up that day. I really felt we prepared, and we kind of tried to peak for this meet, but given the weather, you just never know how everybody runs.
Let's go to the men's race now. Another huge competition with nearly 400 runners. And in the end, the highest placing finisher from the NSIC was Augustana's Keegan Sarda, who finished in 6th place overall. He was one of 3 Augustana Vikings to finish in the top 20, and Augie also finished 3rd in the overall team standings.
Well, it was a great race. I was really happy with it, and this is always a really special meet for our team, and we wanted to go out there, and we got 2nd last year, and so we had big goals of winning it this year, and we knew that we had to get out fast. I think we did a really good job of that. We had a nice pack going up front. We've done lots of hills to prepare for this race, so I felt pretty good going up these hills, and it's a tough course, but I think we ran great today.
By the way, the NSIC Conference Championships will be held on the very same course in less than a month. Well, coming up next, we go under the northern sun at St. Cloud State University.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. Well, it's time to shine the spotlight on one of our member schools with a feature we like to call Under the Northern Sun. Tonight, it's St. Cloud State University, where we get an on-campus tour from a couple of student athletes.
Greetings from St. Cloud State University. I'm Emma Kunapasic and I am a senior on the women's basketball team. Eddie and I will be showing off our campus today located along the Mississippi. Let's get started at Husky Stadium. Our stadium received new turf in the summer of 2014, which is home to the football and soccer teams, as well as high school and community events. This provides a great game day setting along the river. In the fall, student athletes set up a dome over the field, providing year-round coverage for our teams and other recreational programs. Now, let's meet Eddie at Hallenbeck Hall.
Thanks, Emma. Hi, I'm Eddie Alcantara, and I'm a senior here for the men's basketball team. The Miller Center is our state-of-the-art facility which houses our library, learning resources, and information technology services. The building features hundreds of computers, high-tech classrooms, study rooms, computer store, and a coffee shop.
We have a phenomenal fitness center with a wide range of equipment and machines that is offered to all students. Another great feature is our rock climbing wall. These are all great things to utilize to stay active.
The Stewart Hall Broadcasting Center is home to UTVS Sports and Husky Productions. As a state-of-the-art broadcasting center, it is a training center that provides experimental learning in broadcast journalism. Students produce Husky football, men's and women's basketball, as well as a nightly newscast. Just down the hall from UTVS is KVSC, our campus radio station in the University Chronicle, our campus newspaper. They provide students with hands-on experience in radio and print journalism.
The Integrated Science and Engineering Laboratory Facility is the newest building on campus that promotes hands-on learning and advanced technology learning. One of the more interesting facts about this building is their 3D printer.
Atwood Memorial Center is the hub of activity on campus. It has been renovated in the past couple of years to accommodate students. It provides a space for student organizations, programming, dining services, meeting rooms, and recreational offices. Every year, the university plans events designed to bring students together to celebrate our unique tradition, spirit, and culture. The Celebrate St. Cloud program is a year-long series of athletics, art, and academic events designed to and for alumni students, community members, and faculty. Thank you so much for coming on our campus tour. If you're looking for any more information about our campus, please feel free to visit our website at stcloudstate.edu.
Coming up next, it's DBs Pics, my top 5 plays of the past week in the NSIC.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. It's time for DBs Pics, my top 5 plays of the past week. Although to be completely fair, some of these are more moments than actual plays, but hey, it's my show. So like the greatest non-Bryan Adams Canadian singer Celine Dion says, that's just the way it is. At number 5, we'll start with an actual play, and it's a hammer from Augustana's Ashley Wilson, presumably hammering down a Wilson volleyball. Sure, it's just 1 point in a long volleyball match, but even in slow motion, that kill comes down pretty darn quick. Wilson had 9 kills in a 3-0 sweep of Winona State, but this one comes down at number 5 of my top plays. For number 4, we stay in the volleyball world, only this time we celebrate some team success. Northern State defeated number 1 Minnesota Duluth 3-0, the first time the Bulldogs have been swept in more than 3 years. As a result of the historic win, the Wolves moved up 10 spots in the national rankings to number 9. Taking a broom to the Bulldogs checks in at number 4. At number 3, we go back to some plays, and it's the NSIC's version of Darren Sproles doing it all for Winona State. 5'4" Paul Preston takes the screen and goes 75 yards for the touchdown on the Warriors' first play from scrimmage. Here it is again. Preston gets some great blocking and barely has to juke as he finds a clear lane to the house. Now the score was worth 6, Preston's 5'4", and this play comes in at number 3. For number 2, we congratulate the University of Mary, and specifically sophomore Alexis Zeis, who finished first in the Women's Division II race at the historic Roy Griak Invitational this past weekend with a time of just under 22 minutes and 14 seconds. Zeis, who's competed at this event ever since she was in high school, finished a full 12 seconds ahead of second place. She also won the U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association Athlete of the Week award, so she gets an honorary award, a real award with her first place finish, and of course the number 2 play of my top 5. Not a bad haul for Alexis Zeis. But for number 1, we have to go with Southwest Minnesota State's reverse flea flicker against MSU Moorhead. Blake Gimbel finds Nate Hewitt all alone for the 44-yard touchdown. Here it is again, SMSU's execution is darn near perfect, even on the blitzing MSUM linebacker. Mustangs put up 48 points in their battle of the unbeatens with Minnesota State Moorhead. Blake Gimbel throws for a career-high 299 yards and a career-high 5 touchdowns, as SMSU moves to 4-0, and a little trickery has the Mustangs riding high, as their reverse flea flicker gets the number 1 play of the past week in the NSIC. Once again, a thank you to all of our NSIC member schools for their contributions to this week's show. September may be coming to a close, but the fall is just getting started. And we'll be back next week to break it all down with yet another Northern Sun experience.